Okay.
Hi, Courtney.
Hey, Stephanie.
How's it going?
I'm okay.
Good.
Yeah, just recently found that I don't have power at my house. So I'm glad I'm here recording with you.
I'm glad you're here because I have plenty of power for both of us.
You really do, and I love that about you.
So today's episode is going to be a little bit different.
It's a Patreon episode.
It's a Patreon episode because one of our podcast friends and one of our patrons is here hanging out with us, doing the episode with us.
How exciting is that?
And it's John from Half Price Horror.
Hey, John.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Yay, we're so happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here. This is so exciting.
So if our friends aren't familiar with your show, shame on them. But do you want to tell them a little bit about what they get from you at your show?
Sure, my show is called Half Price Horror. It's bi-weekly, and the idea is that I go to like a half-price book and video store and I grab a movie that looks interesting and I watch it, and sometimes it's like a horror classic and sometimes it's something weird that I've never even heard of, like Mosquito Man. And I talk about it, and yeah, Mosquito Man. It straight to Sci-Fi Channel.
Didn't have a chance.
Yeah, and I talk about it, and I kind of recap the plot and talk about some of the themes and how it got made, and just kind of do a deep dive.
You do a really deep dive. It's impressive though, like the amount of information that you find out and the fun facts that you have in your episode.
Yeah.
It's really well done. You do a really great job.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And we're so glad that you're here hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
And the Patreon pick movie that we're watching happens to be one of your faves. So it's
like it was
perfect.
meant to be.
It's like it was meant to be. It's like it wasn't planned at all, you know?
It's not like I suggested it and said I would only let you do it if I was on it, and it's not like you held me to that, even though you could just do it anyway.
This is all hypothetical. This is all just a theory. None of that happened. We were like, John, get on here right now.
Well, what am I going to do?
I know. You're not going to tell us no, are you?
Do you want to tell everybody what we watched, John?
We watched Return of the Living Dead from 1985.
Oh, we sure did.
Yeah, we did.
We sure did. And John loves it.
Yeah, he does.
Stephanie was entertained in parts of it. Ugh, Courtney,
not so much.
Not so much.
I did enjoy. Okay, it's not a horror movie in my mind. It's a comedy.
Well, not for nothing. And John can be blamed for this as well. A lot of our Patreon picks aren't really horror movies.
Well, given how little you like Nicolas Cage, I mean, it was kind of a horror movie, you know?
That
you know
one
what?
gave me nightmares.
Wrong.
He's right.
He's not wrong.
So right.
I love that.
And I feel like there's probably going to be more Nick Cage in my future if you have anything to do about it.
I know, right? You know,
let me be careful what I say. I'll be careful.
I mean, what was that movie called?
Color Out of Space.
Oh, Color Out of Space. Great movie. Great pick. It's a good time.
Ugh, it still makes me cringe a little bit. John, where can everybody find you?
I'm on Twitter as @halfhorror. I'm on Letterboxd as Half Price Horror, where I've got a list of every movie that I found that I bought that I could do anytime anybody wants to pick it for me. So I'm in kind of your boat there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome.
All right. Should we hop in?
I think we should.
Would you like to hear the IMDb synopsis for it?
Of course.
Okay. When two bumbling employees at a medical supply warehouse accidentally release a deadly gas into the air, the vapors cause the dead to rise again as zombies.
Bumbling idiots is correct.
All of this is incredibly accurate. This is like, well done, IMDb.
IMDb does. Oh, what was that?
Did you hear that? Or is that just us? I think that
was I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
So.
Okay. No, that's
no,
okay.
No, it's good. It was sounded like we had zombies in our headphones. Okay.
Or crickets. I don't know. Yeah, no, IMDb, they typically don't get it done right.
No.
But this was good.
Very accurate.
Good job, IMDb. All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. So let's get started.
Mm-hmm.
And we are starting on July 3rd, 1984 at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now, before we continue, I would like to talk about Eastern Daylight Time.
Okay.
Why?
And not Eastern Standard Time?
Something, or just 5:30 p.m. Who
Yeah.
cares where they're at?
Well, because there's a guy out in San Diego who kind of figures into the plot, so they got to specify.
So we
that's
need
true.
Pacific time. That's true.
You're right, but I wasn't paying attention to all that. That's a lot of
Is that
thinking.
the only timestamp you wrote? Because I
Nope.
think there's like 2 or 3 other ones.
Oh no, I got them all.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I wrote,
they really do a good job of letting you know what time it is throughout the movie.
and where in the country you are, what time zone you're chilling in. Also, did you see the on-screen text too about the events portrayed in this film are all true? And the names are real names of real people and real organizations?
That's not true.
That's how the movie starts. And I'm like, get the hell out of here. Get out. No.
Yeah. Originally, Toby Hooper was supposed to direct this, and he's the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I think it was kind of like a little nudge in the rib saying, yeah, this one's a true story too, Toby.
Oh, like a little dig. I like that.
Okay. You know, I do like the little Easter eggs that different directors put in their movies, like throughout their different movies that they've created.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh,
I like that.
Fun. Okay, I like it. I'm okay with it now. You've convinced me.
Well, we are at Unita Medical Supply company where we need they say if you need it, we got it. And I said, what do we need? And what do we got?
Half dogs. They got that.
Oh dear. Okay. We're going to get to the half dogs. I can't. Okay. So everything is wrapping up for the day at this warehouse. Everyone is getting ready for their 4th of July weekend. Mm-hmm. And we meet Bert, Frank, and Freddie. Mm-hmm. So Bert and Frank work there. Freddie's a new employee that just started. Frank is staying a little bit later to train Freddie, who is,
like fulfilling an order.
Basically.
Yeah, he's showing him like where stuff is located in the warehouse. They have an order requesting 2 adult female skeletons with perfect teeth. Which I was like, that's very specific.
Oh, and all skeletons come from India.
Of course. I guess that's a thing.
Well, it was then. They
really?
don't anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first started watching the movie and they had like the skeletons, I genuinely thought like, why are they being so fucking specific? Like I thought they were like plastic skeletons you get at like a Halloween store.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they being so specific about these skeletons? And I was like, oh wait, it's supposed to be like legitimate like bones. I didn't like put it together at first. I was like, oh okay, I'm on board now. It took me a second. I caught up.
So they had some serious things basically in this movie as far as like
something based on fact.
Yeah, like Dan O'Bannon was kind of into all this stuff. He's the guy who wrote the movie. He also wrote Alien. And he was really kind of into weird medical trivia and stuff, and he put a lot of that into the movie. The same with the mortuary stuff. It's all like based on real stuff he knew. And apparently right after this movie came out, India banned...
Hold on one second. We lost you a little bit.
There's like a bad connection.
Yeah, it cut you off. Okay. When you said, okay, we can hear you now.
Okay.
When you were saying about when you started talking about this, can you just start over with the skeleton part so we can make sure we got everything that you said?
Yeah. So this was all stuff that Dan O'Bannon, he's the screenwriter of the movie, and he also wrote Alien. Mm-hmm. And this is all like real stuff he learned. He was into medical trivia. All the mortuary stuff is real too, like flexing bones and muscles to get rid of rigor mortis. And right after this movie came out, India banned the skeleton trade, and he said for the rest of his life it was because he made this movie and got it out in front of the public. I don't know if that part's true, but...
I mean, the power he has if it's true. I mean,
I'll take it.
He is a pro-skeleton activist, and, you know...
Oh my God, we need to put that on a t-shirt. Pro-skeleton activist. I love it. All right, so... After they're fulfilling this order of this skeleton, Frank gives Freddie like a tour of the entire warehouse. We see the half dogs.
Yeah. We see Freddie starts to growl at, and then he's told to just be serious. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, now we're okay.
Are we? Okay. So then he shows them where the fresh cadavers are kept in this freezer area. And then we see one dead body that's like hanging in a plastic bag by like hooks in the head.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Do they do that?
I don't
know. It's terrifying.
It just doesn't seem like the most effective way to hang something. I'm just saying.
Does it have to be hung?
It's a valid point. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so now we meet a group of friends. We're not in the warehouse anymore. We have this group of friends who's walking down the street talking about, what they're going to be doing that night.
Mm-hmm.
They all have this very 80s look about them.
Yes.
And one is getting a real workout holding this like 80-pound like boom
box.
box. It's serious stuff. Like you can't.
Well, they're looking for a party, so he needs to be prepared. Yeah.
I mean, normally when you see it, you see the boom box like on the
shoulder.
shoulder. That thing could not be on the shoulder. It will break it.
It's gonna dislocate something.
Absolutely.
Now, I got the friends' names if you want them.
I only got.
Oh, I didn't even try.
I got Trash because I love that her name was Trash. She's the one with like the crazy red hair.
Oh, the naked one.
And then the guy with the weird piercing. Yeah, no, that's Trash.
Okay.
The guy with the ear to mouth piercing, Suicide. Is that right?
Yep. Although we don't see Suicide yet. He's the one with the car, so he shows up.
Oh, right. And then there's Spider. Those are the only ones I know.
Yep. The other guy, the other punk guy, the one with the mohawk, is Scuzz.
Scuzz. Oh my god, I love everything about it.
The two women are Tina, which is Freddy's girlfriend, and
the more
Casey.
preppier. She's more preppy. Mm-hmm. Everybody else a little more edgy dressed. Right. She's dressed more preppy.
I got Tina. That's about it.
Tina.
Yeah, she looks like she's gonna go see like Tiffany or Madonna.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
And then Casey, who is also like a Tiffany fan.
Oh yeah, okay. She was kind of in the middle of the line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a very eclectic group of friends.
Yeah.
Yes, and then Chuck is the one that everybody hates, but he hangs out with them anyway, and he's the one that's got the skinny tie and dresses like one
with
of
the oversized jacket.
Yeah. He did not fit in.
No.
Yeah.
They made it clear that they didn't want him there either. Poor guy.
He's so sad.
I'd feel bad for him if he wasn't kind of always hitting on every single woman in the group. Like,
yes. Yeah. He was a little douchey.
He wanted to get some.
He was trying a little too hard. Yeah.
So they are trying to decide what they're doing later. They were trying to find a party. But they decided they're going to go see Freddy at the warehouse, like after work.
Because apparently Freddy always knows where a party's at.
He doesn't seem like the guy that would. Out of that whole group, I just don't feel like he would. That's just my opinion. Personal opinion.
I feel like Chuck in the oversized jacket would always know where a party is. Doesn't mean he's invited to it. But I feel like he would be the one who knows where the parties are at.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get from him.
Okay. I'm going to go with it. Okay, so now we're back at the warehouse. Frank is doing some paperwork at his desk while Freddy is like flipping through this anatomy book. And then he asks Frank, like, what's the weirdest thing that he's ever seen as he's been working there. And he starts by asking if Freddy has seen the movie Night of the Living Dead. And then he said it was a true story and starts telling him about this chemical spill of 1969 that made people come alive that were dead. And then the military is supposed to have shipped these bodies away and ended up shipping them to the wrong location into this warehouse.
Yeah. But they've been there since
1969.
Yeah. So
like 12, was it 12 years? Is that what it was?
The barrels of more than that. This is
like 15, 16
or 15 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's apparently like barrels of dead, like zombie bodies in the basement of this warehouse that they work at.
I have so many questions. And I have my questions coming right up.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I have a whole list of them.
I wrote in my notes, silly army, so sloppy. Like, how is that a thing? How does the military just like, the story is they just lose all these barrels and they're like, well, guess we'll never find them. We'll just wait until they surface and something happens. That's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
The military knows where they're shipping shit. Anyways, so Frank's desk phone rings and it's his wife asking when he's going to be home. And after his infuriating answer back to her and telling her to keep the meat warm, he gets off the phone with her. And then, I'm sorry.
No, I wrote that too. I was like, oh, just keep the pot roast warm. Okay, got it. Cool.
I didn't even
you just get home
he
whenever
is
you want,
definitely a
Frank.
boomer.
100%.
God.
100%.
Yeah, well, so is the military guy that's like on call 24/7 for the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even have his...
We'll get to him.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to him.
We got some opinions on him.
So Frank asked Freddy if he wants to see those dead corpses in the basement or like the canisters that these things are in. Freddie gets way too excited about it. They head downstairs, and then when they get down there, Frank shows Freddie the canisters of these dead bodies. And is there a reason that the army wouldn't have like tracked these canisters down?
I just love that they are like very much labeled on the side with like property of the military. There's like an 800 number and everything on the side of it.
Did they have a college kid like drop these things off that weren't even paying attention? They just wanted to like get done with their job for the day?
Some warehouse in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where it's at.
Yeah, probably, it was one of those things where, well, they signed for it,
I know, right?
The signature, it's like, this is just a scribble, guys.
He drew a smiley face. This doesn't count for anything.
Oh my God. I can't. So Frank opens up the top of one of these canisters and we see a head of like a dead body inside of it. Why does it have a window? Like, I don't know. Why do we? Okay.
So we can visually see that there's some type of like zombie creature inside of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course.
Freddie has a legitimate question about if the canister leaks.
Sure.
And Frank says, hell no. And hits the side of one of them. And of course, it begins spewing gas out of the side of it.
Of course.
They both fall to the ground coughing. And then basically, this is where the movie starts.
I said, uh-oh, the body's defrosting.
It's melting.
And of course, we see the gas from this canister going into like the air ducts.
Of course.
And being released out of this building and the room. Like, of course. And then we've just got stupid 80s music playing.
Yes, we do.
Of course.
It's great. So, like you were saying, like the it's going through the air vents. It's also going into the meat locker where the cadaver is.
Oh yeah.
And so it begins moving and like
shaking around,
and the
hands are moving, coming to life.
Yeah, nobody really can see us moving except for John. It doesn't matter.
They are twitching. I will describe it. They're doing the little zombie shake.
Do we look like zombies that are coming to life? Is that what it is?
I can't. Okay, so now we are at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And we are rolling up to a gated house. There are 2 guards outside of this gate.
One of them is useless.
Right. I know we're probably on this like fancy military base and we have to have these guards, but why?
I don't know. One of them turns around and like boop, 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 opens the gate code for the car to go, and the other one just stands there. And I was like, well, good thing there's 2 of you.
Well,
like,
I mean, okay. I guess if anything goes shady, that they can just jump in.
One can run. Oh.
Or that. I don't know. So I said a very grumpy military guy 100%. Goes into his house, and his wife, who has oh so graciously made this man a lamb chop dinner, to which he says,
he's so unhappy.
I had that for lunch. You ungrateful bastard.
He was very unhappy that, like, how dare she cook him lamb chops for dinner when he had lamb chops for lunch?
Now, see, my pet theory is that this is the guy who lost the canisters, and the rest of his career has been, you will never get a promotion till you find them again.
So he's a real bitter bitch.
Yeah, he is just so pissed off by this point that he's just like an asshole to everybody.
I like that theory. I'm going with it.
So it wouldn't matter what he had for dinner. He would just be like, ugh, fucking pot roast. Get out of here. I had that for lunch.
Yeah, he is constantly snapping at his wife about every little thing, and she has given him death glares behind his back.
100%.
But the thing is that he doesn't give a shit, and she's not going to do anything about it, so it's a perfect marriage, I guess.
I was like, well, they seem happily married.
It's going to be a long-lasting marriage. So
maybe she doesn't get a divorce until he finds the canisters either.
Maybe.
That could be motivation for both of them to find the canisters.
Maybe that's why she just like deals with his shit. I don't know. Whatever. So anyways, he goes into his office. He makes a call to some military people in his like.
He's got this armoire that has like a beep boop beep boop code on it. Like, okay. He's got like a fax machine and all types of stuff inside this glass doored armoire looking thing.
Yeah, well, he says he's going to be home all night. If somebody finds these poison canisters.
Great. He's got no plans. Cool.
So does he do
like
this?
We thought he did.
Well, like, yeah, he doesn't have plans. So does he have to make this phone call to these people like every single time he moves a location? Like,
probably because there's no cell phones. So if he's like in one location, he's got to be like beep boop beep boop. I'm over here now.
Yeah, I assume he's like, hey, I'm at work. Hey, I'm home. Hey, I'm going out to the theater. Here's their number. Page them if they find the poison gas.
You know where to find me. Not eating lamb chops.
Because he had that for lunch. Okay, so 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Mm.
Now we're back with the friends.
Yep.
They're riding, or they're getting a ride from Suicide.
Mhm.
One of the friends.
In case you didn't know, his hood has Suicide written across it as well. So in case you didn't know whose car it was,
Right.
it belongs to Suicide.
Yeah, I mean, just in case. This is calling card, really. Everybody knows him.
He's a big bitch too.
He's tall.
Like when we see him walking around a little bit, I didn't realize how gigantic he was until I got out of the car. I was like, holy shit, he's
until
a monster.
Trash was like grinding up against him.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was like, he's a monster.
So they're gonna go pick up Freddie. And I have to say that they are 2 hours early.
Yes, I wrote that too.
Why? Why do we need to get there so
Because
early?
Tina's plan is like, we're gonna go to Freddie's job, his brand new job at this warehouse, pick him up, and we're gonna go find a party. And they're like, cool, what time does he get off? And she's like, 10. They're like, it's 7:30. And I'm like, wait a second. Why are we showing up anywhere 2 hours early?
I don't know. And
like,
why are we going to hang out in a cemetery?
For 2 hours?
I mean, they're the type of people that probably would.
I don't.
I mean, they do.
Well, I kind of got the feeling that they didn't have any place else to go. I mean, they do mention that, it's like we could hang out in the park. Yeah, and the cops said they'd shoot us if we came back to the park.
Right.
And, they don't have much gas, so they can't drive anywhere around. It's just kind of
Probably
like,
well,
money. Back with it. We're here. We might as well be here as anywhere else.
And I kind of got the vibe that like Tina's plan was to go to the warehouse, not the rest of the group. And I think they just kind of tagged along because what else were they doing?
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, well, I guess we're all going to this warehouse. Oh, hey, look, there's a graveyard right outside. Let's go in the graveyard.
That sounds like
yeah,
a great
I really
idea.
got the feeling that Tina was Freddie's girlfriend and Freddie was Suicide's friend, and they didn't really get along that well without him there to kind of mediate.
Sure. He
was the glue for the friends.
Yeah.
He was the glue that kept everybody together. Such a dysfunctional group they were. I loved it.
Interesting for sure.
I mean, it was like the Village People, really.
Oh.
I mean, different, but kind of the same. They have their looks.
Like a specific look? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I think my favorite bit is when Suicide is like, why do you only talk to me when you need a ride someplace? And they're like, because you're a spooky motherfucker. And instead of being like, I'm not that bad, he spins around in his car seat while driving to try to strangle them.
He's like, I'll show you, spooky motherfucker.
I
and
know.
Drives after.
Like, can you stop the car first? No? Okay. Jeez.
He's very defensive, that's for sure.
We are back at You Need a Supply Company.
Of course.
Frank and Freddie wake up from their gas slumber and realize that the body is now out of the canister, or the body that was in the canister is now gone. So Frank thinks that it just melted when it opened, which, okay.
Sure.
So they both are getting really sick, start coughing, vomiting everywhere.
Their gagging was so dramatic because they're like, what's that awful smell? And then
Frank is the problem.
He's so dramatic this entire movie. It's like, Frank, tone it down like 6 notches, buddy. I can't. Everything he does, I'm like, Frank, stop. It's okay.
Maybe the director wanted him to amp it up, and he's like, I'm going for it.
I can't.
They both kind of amp it up a lot once they get hit with the gas. They start acting a little Scooby-Doo-ish,
Yeah.
Yeah. So they go back to the office and start spraying deodorizer to
like a Lysol.
Like a Lysol. Yeah, to try to get rid of the smell. They start hearing a noise and start walking towards it. And they realize that the half dog that was, for medical purposes,
for veterinarians. It's like on a shelf.
Don't really know why you'd need that, but okay. It starts moving. And it's alive.
It's barking.
And it's on a stick. And it's half.
Yeah, its mouth is moving and it's barking. And then Frank grabs
a crutch. Yeah.
And starts beating this poor half dog with a crutch. Like, first of all, leave the dog alone. That dog can't do anything to you, buddy. He can't hurt you.
He's stuck on a stick.
He's half and he can't even move. He's lucky he's making noises. Leave that puppy alone.
He's had a rough life already. Okay, so then they start hearing banging in the meat freezer.
Of course.
And the cadaver is alive. And as well as I saw the butterflies that were on a canvas thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that was a good touch.
Yeah.
I remembered the butterflies from when I was 10 when I first saw this. And it was just such a cool shot.
It was a really good touch.
I think that might have been one of my favorite like parts of the movie.
And it's just subtle too, because it's kind of like in the foreground of like we see them kind of like what the fuck is going on in the cadaver freezer.
Yeah.
And there's this board with like the butterflies mounted to it, and we see the wings moving. I was like, that's fun.
I like it.
That was a cool little effect.
It was super cute. And that's pretty cool that you remembered it from the first time you saw this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered everything about this movie. I saw it at a sleepover when I was 10, and it was just like burned into my brain for decades.
When's the last time you saw it before just watching it recently?
Probably for my own podcast. I did an episode on it because it was my 25th episode kind of celebration, because this was like, it's the first grown-up horror movie I ever saw.
Sure. When you watched it again for your show versus when you watched it at 10, did it still hold up? Were you still like, memory lane, or were you like, how'd you feel when you watched it again?
It was kind of a memory lane thing. Yeah, there's some bits where I was like, oh, this is still, you know, my 10-year-old me remembers being scared by this.
Yeah, it stuck with you. That's pretty cool.
Well, we'll get to the really scary bits.
Okay, so the two of them they hide themselves in the office, trying to think of what they're going to be what they're going to do. Freddie is now being the smart one of the group, and
Freddie does have logic throughout the movie. I will say he's got valid points,
bits and pieces.
Yeah,
and he's like, maybe we should call the number that's on the side of that canister.
Great job, Freddie.
I think so.
Great job.
Frank thinks it's a horrible idea because they can't have the army around there. And I said, why, Frank? Why? Why can't we have the military?
Right? How can this get worse? Oh, it does. Oh, it does.
Frank decides to call Bert, who is the owner of this place, and tell him what the problem is, and maybe he can like help solve or have an idea of what we're gonna do.
Sure.
Okay. So back in the graveyard, two of the friends are talking about death,
which was Trash and what was that guy's name with the oversized suit?
Chuck was the guy with the oversized suit.
Oh,
but
it was Chuck. It was Spider.
She talks about death a lot, so she talks about it to Chuck. But she's talking about it to Spider when
that's
this
what it is.
happens.
It's Spider.
Because she's talking about like fantasies that she has and asks if he ever thinks
God.
about death or dying. And then she says that she has this, I guess it's like a fantasy of where she's died surrounded by a bunch of old men who are like biting
and eating her alive.
And then she starts getting like turned on by it and like rips off her shirt.
Yeah, we see boob.
And then Spider's like, can we get some lights over here?
I can't. It's a lot. And
I was like, here we are, 80s movie, already nips. Here we are, immediately 80s movie.
But it gets worse because she decides to like climb on top of a
crypt.
This big crypt, and then she literally starts undressing her entire self,
naked,
dancing, butt ass. Except for her leg warmers.
Oh yeah, well it's the 80s.
We got to keep those on.
And you know what, though? I will compliment her. She looks great.
Oh, yeah.
She's got good dance moves. Good
nice
for her.
ass.
Work it, girl.
Boobs.
Work it, girl.
Absolutely.
She made a workout tape based on her popularity in this movie.
Get out.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Okay, I'm going to have to find it on YouTube.
But you know what? That kind of makes sense because the dance moves she has looks very 80s,
very...
like jazzercise.
It was a lot.
I read a random fun fact on IMDb about like her weird naked dancing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like too early to say it, but I guess they shot it one time and she had bush, and I guess one of the producers was like, this is offensive, we can't do it. So the director was like, okay, shave. So then she shaved and they're like, this is even more offensive, we can't do it. So they made her this like fake underwear.
I could see it.
That was like skin tone, like nude, that they had to glue to her, which I was like, oh, okay. Cause I was like, how is this girl just naked the whole time? But it's like, I guess she had like a little piece that they just glued to her the whole time she was naked in the movie.
So they were okay with her boobs showing, but they weren't okay.
It's the 80s, of course.
But her crotch, no,
that was offensive.
And you know, here's 10-year-old me watching this and going, is that really what it looks like? Because it looks like a Barbie doll.
Well, that was my thought too when we were when I was watching it. I was like, I thought she was wearing like a G-string or something because I was like,
I don't see any crack there at all.
That was my thought too.
Well, of course I watched it the entire time.
You can't, it's staring at you. You have to.
So when she's like walking towards me at one angle, I could see.
When she's walking toward me. Courtney's like, she's picked me out.
She saw me.
What do I do?
Don't make eye contact or any sudden movements.
Now, you haven't seen The Ring, have you? Because that takes on a whole new meaning.
Walking. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
You could have been fucked if you were.
Anyways, no, I could see something. She was wearing something.
Yeah, because it did look like a Barbie for sure.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, so when I was going through fun fact, I didn't put that one in my notes, but I saw that and I was like, okay, well that makes sense. Things
And the
make more sense
director
now.
did say if he'd have realized how many women would wind up fans of this, he would have put in a guy naked to just,
I wrote
for
that
kind of
down
parody.
too. Yeah, he should have. Why not? We were talking about that in our last episode.
You
We
almost
were
poked me in the eye with your
I'm
finger.
sorry.
Calm down.
Courtney
Being
said I
all
wasn't
easy.
going to flail enough, and I was like, well, I'll have to stop because you're sitting so close to me, but
It's dangerous over here, John. It's dangerous.
you just don't know what we deal with.
Okay, so Bert now shows up at the office to assess the situation. He starts yelling at Frank for opening the container, and then here's where my questions come in.
Okay,
Why can't we call the military to pick up these canisters?
sure. Valid question.
Did they know the fumes from the canisters would cause these dead bodies to become zombies? And then why were the dead people in the canisters not moving before the gas was let out? Why weren't they moving inside if the gas was there and they should have been alive, right? No.
I'm going to
Well-
defer to John for all of these.
I think for the first one, I kind of got the impression that Bert, like maybe he wasn't doing anything shady, but I kind of got the impression he felt like if he called the military, they'd be looking to make somebody a scapegoat.
Something would be exposed or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they would probably like.
But if they accidentally dropped him off, it's not their fault.
And they've lost track of these things for 16 years? Like, I think everybody's at fault here,
Right.
Like, I don't know. But I guess,
Yeah.
like, if he's holding on to these military canisters that he knows aren't his, and it clearly is labeled because we saw the stencil on the side.
Yes.
I guess maybe, too, he'd be like, well, I've been holding on to these canisters for 16 years. Like, I can get pretty screwed for that.
That's true.
Military property or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was just gonna, make it a problem for future Bert, and now future Bert is here, and he's like, "Fuck!"
Oh shit! Yeah, absolutely.
I'm in too deep now.
And I don't think he knew the gas was toxic because he's really surprised by everything that happens in the movie.
Sure.
But why? I'm just so confused.
Yeah,
I think he
no,
just wanted to believe it. We could just be fixed and put a band-aid over it and move on.
yeah, people are like that because this was not long after some real life chemical spills, and it was that same sort of thing where people were like, "Oh, that dial never works right. Just ignore what that dial is saying." And it's like, yeah, that dial is kind of important. And it was a lot of people putting band-aids over problems and stuff. So it was kind of on people's minds at the time that, yeah, people act stupid around serious hazardous chemicals and stuff, just
sure.
the same way they act stupid around everything else.
It's valid.
Except for me.
You never act stupid.
I'm never stupid.
Courtney's perfect.
So thank you for noticing.
But no, I don't know why the zombies weren't like constantly scratching at the barrels going, "Let me out, let me out, let me out."
I feel like they should have been.
Yeah.
Because what is it? Because the gas is mixed with like the air that's what causes the.
Or maybe like whatever the gas is that's keeping them in there is keeping them in this like trance, and then once it's released, they're like brains.
What? Why are you trying to make sense of it? It doesn't make sense. Okay.
That's what I'm going with.
I'm gonna move on.
I'm going with it. Okay.
Oh my god, this is okay. So Bert gives Frank a huge pickaxe to kill this like undead cadaver.
Yeah, because they're gonna open the freezer because the cadaver is freaking the fuck out inside of it, like banging on the freezer door.
Yeah.
So they're gonna open the freezer and like kill it because they're convinced that like in every zombie movie they've ever seen, if you do like head trauma to a zombie, it dies.
I mean, for
So
the
that's
most
the
part,
plan.
that's true. Yes.
So theoretically, cool.
I mean, I would survive in a zombie apocalypse. We've already discussed this in previous episodes.
I would not.
No, and I would use you as bait.
100%.
I mean, it only makes sense.
It makes sense for you. Your survival, yeah.
So before they open this door, Bert stands back, wants nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah, he has the plan, but he's like, I'm going to go hide
Yeah,
behind this shelf over here.
But as
He's like,
Karma would
I
have it,
did not wake these things up. That was a both of you.
That's
You
on
fix
you.
it.
I'm going to give you the tools.
I'll just watch from over here.
So, as Karma would have it, the undead cadaver beelines it straight for Bert as soon as he comes out of the room.
I have a question.
Please.
Why was he Homer Simpson yellow?
I don't know.
What is that about?
I think that it was like embalming fluid or something. Some of the chemicals they used to preserve the body made him yellow.
I don't know if I
He's
can
got
get
an
on
answer
board
for
with that,
everything,
John. I don't know
John.
if I can.
I do have an answer for why he went straight for Bert.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because Freddie and Frank, they don't know it, but they are,
They're dead.
Oh, at this time, that makes total sense. They inhaled the gases. So, with the brains that he would want, it would be Bert.
John, that's amazing.
John,
Yeah, it's this really subtle thing, but when you go back and rewatch it,
it's clever.
yeah, he completely ignores Freddie and Frank.
Yeah, that's really clever.
Are you going to call on every episode with us? Because I feel like you have a lot of insight that we don't.
It must be so infuriating for you to listen to our episodes. It must drive you crazy because we're like, this is dumb, and you're like, actually.
No, it's so much fun. They're so much fun to listen to.
He's like, ugh, these bitches, whatever.
I know. Oh my God. That's his laugh for the day.
But I really like that. That's super clever. That's well done. That's subtle. That's really
Way
subtle.
to go, John and the director. What's his name? Dan O'Leary? No,
O'Bannon.
O'Bannon. Yep, that's it.
That blew my mind a little bit. Okay. I like that.
Okay, so Frank and Freddie grab this cadaver, hold him down as Bert axes his head. He's still moving, of course.
Yeah, because the pickaxe is like in his skull, just chilling there, but it didn't kill him.
No.
He's still like seizing up and twitching.
Of course he is.
So then Bert is like, hold him down. I'll get a handsaw and proceeds to cut his head off. Still doesn't kill him.
No, doesn't.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. So this headless body decides to get up and start like wreaking havoc on the entire warehouse.
Which was really funny. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw this like headless Homer Simpson like knocking shelves over and making a mess of the whole warehouse. It was really funny.
Yeah. He had a lot going on.
I just love that they're like, it didn't work. And he's like, you mean the movie lied?
Yeah,
because they're convinced that like anything they saw in a movie would kill the zombie, and they're like, "Wait a second, that didn't work.
It wasn't true. Now what are we gonna do?"
That was so funny. Oh my gosh!
And that's actually, speaking of what I found creepy when I was 10, my biggest thing that kind of creeps me out still about this movie is they never do find a way to kill them.
No, not at all.
Like if you burn them to ashes, sure they're gone,
it makes
but
it
the
worse.
gas just goes out and makes more zombies.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's definitely a creepy part of it. You're
that's
like,
pretty creepy.
Well, then how the hell okay, I guess we're all zombies now.
We're all dead. So they end up wrestling this body to the ground, tying him down. And I was like raising my hand at this point. Can we call the military now? Can we?
Still not too late.
No, we can still do it. I have the phone.
The number is stenciled on the side of the barrels. It's just boop,
but,
boop, boop.
But the worse it gets, the less they want to call anybody and tell them. It's like when you're,
Right.
It's like when your parents aren't home and you've done something wrong and you're like trying to fix it and you keep making it worse and worse
Yes.
and worse. You're like, oh, I definitely can't tell mom now.
Well, they decide that they need to get rid of this body completely by using acid.
Sure.
So they decide that it's not going to dissolve everything, including the bones. So Frank decides to call the guy across the street who has a funeral home / crematorium, so they can just burn this zombie.
Yeah.
Okay.
They want to bring all the pieces of the zombie. They decide to chop them into pieces.
We'll talk about that. And
I love that the guy's name at the mortuary's name is Ernie, because constantly in my notes I have Bert and Ernie written in my notes, and I was like, I wonder if that was intentional.
I love that.
Right?
I didn't even think about that. That's pretty funny.
No, I liked it.
Oh, okay. So now we're at 9:16 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're at the graveyard. We have the naked girl rubbing her body all over
Suicide.
He was not paying any attention to her whatsoever.
No, and he tells her to show some respect for the dead.
Correct. What's her problem?
How dare you?
The dead is clearly what she's into. Like,
yeah,
that's what she thinks she's respecting.
She's getting real turned on. Rubbing her crotch all over him.
100%. You do you, girl.
So one of the other girls thinks that she sees Freddie like walking down the street, like farther away. They're like, oh no, you're crazy. Like that's not him.
Why would he be going over there? Yeah, because he's walking through the graveyard with like a stretcher with what's his name? Frank and Bert.
Yeah.
Carrying plastic bags of stuff going toward like the morgue or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
I have a lot. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, I really want Freddy's jacket. He's got this like Letterman's jacket, high school Letterman's jacket, but on the back is written "fuck you."
I don't think I recognize that.
Yeah, but it's like, isn't it? Because I saw on the fun facts, isn't it like not full outfits? Isn't it like a code for it or something?
No, it says "fuck you" on it, but
does
for all the shots where you can see the back of it, they filmed it twice. Once with the "fuck you" jacket, and once with the second one that said television versions in case they had to show it on TV.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a good idea.
Clever.
That is.
Uh-huh.
They thought of everything, didn't they? Okay, so now we're in the mortuary.
Mortuary.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay, we have a guy working in there. Same as Artie,
who looks dead himself. If I might add.
Yeah, he's really pale.
He looks pretty dead.
He must be from up north. Is he part of your family?
He might be.
Oh my god. Well, he's jamming out to some music. Mm-hmm. Doesn't hear Bert come in, which I think you need to lock a door, Ernie, because
especially at night.
It's in the middle of the night.
Why is he's working on a bite at like 9:30 at night?
He got shit to do.
He's dedicated to his job.
I was gonna say, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Okay. I mean, that's what they say.
And Ernie lives it, you know?
Day to day. So Frank asks Ernie for some help. Mm-hmm. So he brings in this undead corpse in the black plastic bag. Now, I don't know. It reminded me of, because they had chopped up this body into little pieces, put it in the black bag. Mm-hmm. But it reminded, the fish that like moves, like the one
that you hang on your wall.
Yeah, that one.
Really
or the one that
bass,
the one that you give for your pet. It's like the fish. They have them in the plastic bags because they're all like flopping and moving.
I actually something of my fun facts about that, because since you said it, what they used was the motorized toy monkeys with the symbols in each of those bags to make the bags move.
That makes sense.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah.
But they lay the stretcher down, and there's like, I don't know, a dozen bags, like individual bags on the stretcher, and they're all like fidgeting and moving. And then when Ernie asks what it is, Bert tells him that they're rabid weasels.
Why?
Why is that the first thing you think of?
Why would it be rabid, and why would they be weasels?
And like, it's like, and you put them in plastic bags, like that's kind of inhumane too. And it's like, rabid weasels is where you go? Okay. Well, Ernie doesn't.
It is not a good alibi.
It's terrible.
No.
It's awful.
Oh my god, whatever. So Ernie says that he needs to call the animal shelter. He's not going to help them.
Right.
Or he can take them out to the parking lot and shoot them. And I'm like, okay. So,
which is a better option than what Bert wants to do, though. Bert wants to light them on fire and kill them. Listen, at least Ernie's like, well, that's inhumane, which I'm like, I agree. I'm not saying putting them in plastic bags is, but lighting them on fire is definitely not nice.
I feel like there's a lot happening now.
There's so much going on.
I don't know. So Bert explains that they aren't weasels that are in the bag.
He's got to keep a secret.
He's right. And then Bert proceeds to pull out a moving arm from the plastic bag. Ernie freaks out because it grabs his ankle. Uh-huh. And I'm like, Ernie, I'm going to need you to calm the fuck down. Just take it down a notch real quick. I know it's not like it's an animal. It's an arm.
Sure. That's traumatizing.
Pull it off. What's it going to do?
You probably have to peel me off the ceiling. I mean,
I agree. That would, if I'm thinking that maybe it's a rabid weasel or whatever in this bag, and then it's a human Homer Simpson arm that's like grabbing me and rips my pants, like that would freak me the fuck out.
I mean, I'd be pretty freaked out by the rabid weasels.
100%.
Like,
what if that shit bites you? You don't mess with that. Mm-mm.
I mean, legit. I think I might be afraid of a rabid weasel. The arm, I don't know. I would be freaked out.
Let's scale it back a second. If someone opened a bag and a weasel came out, I'd be freaked out by that too. It doesn't have to be rabid. I would still freak out over any animal coming charging a plastic bag at me. It wouldn't matter. It would still upset me.
Do weasels bite? I don't know.
He's in a plastic bag. He's probably pissed.
Oh, he's pissed. I'd be pissed.
But instead it's an arm that rips his pants.
Right.
Okay. That's fine.
How he did that. Okay, whatever.
They put it back in the bag.
Right. So back at the cemetery, the friends are just chilling. Tina realizes that it's close to 10 p.m. Uh-huh. So she heads out of the cemetery by herself in the middle of like a not great part of the neighborhood.
Doesn't look good.
No. And to this medical supply warehouse where Freddie is, and so she rings the doorbell to get in. No one answers, of course, because well, they're not there. And then the four guys back in the funeral home, they're all sitting around. Ernie says that if he agrees to burn the body, like what's in it for him? And then
valid question.
I mean, yeah, he's like, you can have whatever you want.
Sure.
I think it's what he said. Somewhere along those
lines.
They'll
make a deal or something.
Yeah. So they agree. Ernie fires up the cooker. And then he sees this, like, we see smoke coming out of the chimney once they put this body inside. So obviously foreshadowing that we are poisoning the entire earth.
Mm-hmm. There's another bit of foreshadowing there because Frank is like, we didn't need him. I could operate this thing.
Uh-huh. And he sure does.
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
Uh-huh.
Foreshadowing. So it starts pouring down rain now, and then all the friends in the cemetery run back to the car, and they were saying that it feels like acid
because it hurts, especially Trash, who's naked, still naked. Can no one give this girl a shirt or a jacket? No one help a girl out yet? No. She just runs naked into the car, and she's like, "It's burning my skin," and they think it's acid rain.
Well,
which was huge at the time. Like, you know, this, like I said, I was 10, and I remember we were learning about acid rain in, you know, current events, and they were talking about how bad it was for the environment and everything. You know, it was on everybody's mind.
Interesting. So it just made it worse. Just amplified it.
Of course.
And poor girl.
The director's taking world events and making them
all relative, all relatable.
Try to freak you out.
He was targeting John.
Yeah, targeting John. He knew John would be watching it. So we see the rain like seeping into the ground, and then ends up dripping on some of the corpses that are in their caskets underground, which are not great. They're like wooden boxes that have completely disintegrated.
Yeah,
they're literally just laying in the ground. And I said, "Uh-oh, we're waking the dead up." So both Frank and Freddie are starting to look like shit. Yeah. They're every time that we see them, like going back and forth from like one scene to the next, they continually get worse, like
more sick
looking.
Yeah, it was pretty well done.
Gray. They get
yeah. And their eyes get all red.
Like red, and their lips get red. Yeah.
I don't know. They want to...
Chappy.
Very chappy. Need a little chapstick. So they want to go to the doctor. But instead of that, they decide just to call the ambulance.
Sure.
Okay. I don't really... Okay. It doesn't matter.
Unless... I don't think Frank wanted to... Like, Frank wants to go... Like, wants to get help. I don't think he wanted to go to the hospital because they would ask too many questions like that. So they decided to call an ambulance.
Maybe that's what it was.
Something like that. And then Ernie calls 911 and just says that they need paramedics because there's been a poisoning. And he's not sure of what, but they need to come and help.
Right. And he's like, well, can you find out what it's from? Like, what did they get poisoned by?
Yeah. He's like, just get over here. It's fine.
And Bert is acting super sketchy about that when they ask. Like, did they fall into, or what did they breathe? And he's like,
right,
I don't know. Like, get off my back, man.
It's definitely not from the military canister that I've been storing in my basement for 15 years.
What else are you up to, Bert? What else are you hiding?
Whole thing is a front for a drug ring.
It's gotta be.
Yes. That's it.
He's a shady bitch.
You never know. So the friends start hearing noises, and we see all the corpses in the cemetery start moving around.
Kind
of creepy.
They're climbing out of like their graves and stuff. Yeah.
So meanwhile, Tina gets into the warehouse. I don't know how she got in if the door was locked, but okay. So she starts walking around, and of course she walks down into the basement and directly over to those canisters.
Yeah.
Why? Out of that entire warehouse.
Well, she sees Freddie's hat at the top of the stairs. So she's like, well, he must be downstairs. I don't know, Tina. I can't.
Tina,
And of course she's like, hello. Nobody responding. So she's like, I must go into the basement.
Oh, God. Ugh. Well, she starts hearing noises. And we can see the skinless zombie from the canister walking towards her yelling, brains.
I thought the zombie was actually pretty good.
I liked him.
I think they did a really good job. I think he was the creepiest part of the movie was the way he looked and like how he moved and stuff. I was like,
yeah,
that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, the guy who did this was a like puppeteer and contortionist. His name's Alan Troutman, and he developed this whole style of moving based on the idea that the zombies' joints were starting to like fall apart, and so he kind of moved like he was being held together by old rubber bands, and
It
it
looked
was
really good.
it was super creepy. This is
Especially
like
the way
what
he moved his legs. It looked like his ankles were like bent out.
Is this where you got creeped out?
this is what
This is the
gave me
creepy
nightmares as a
part.
kid, and it's still a little creepy as a grown up.
Well, and then because this zombie comes back a couple of times, but like every time he came back, I was like, he's the creepiest part of this movie. Like they did a really good job on him.
Yeah, they did.
And it looks like his skin is just kind of dissolved on contact with the air, and it's kind of just like slowly oozing off his bones.
Just
And,
dangling.
Yeah. That was real gross.
It was gross. They did a good job.
Well, Tina starts running back up the stairs, but of course, one of the treads breaks.
Of course.
She falls right back through onto the ground. So she hides, and the zombie has enough brains, see what I did there, to use a pulley system to break down this door that she has locked.
Yeah.
Trying to get her. And then just as the door flies off of this container thing that she's in, or I don't know what
it's
it
like
is.
a closet, like a metal door, something like that.
Yeah.
Because the friends run back inside too at this point. Because of course, Suicide's convertible roof is leaking. So now they're getting acid rain on them inside the car. So they're like, well, let's just go into the warehouse. So they run inside and they can hear Tina in the basement yelling.
Of course.
So when they run down the stairs, they see the pulley system, like the chain pulling the door off, but they don't see anything operating it.
Right.
So then when Suicide pulls back this like plastic tarp looking thing. I don't know what it was. We see that creepy looking zombie guy again, who's like, brains, and just attacks the fuck out of Suicide.
Yeah.
He's a real bitey bitch.
He's a bitey bitch. He ate the brains.
He wasn't playing. He warned him.
He was hungry. He wanted his brains.
And I was bummed that they killed off Suicide, because he is like the most interesting character. You know, visually he's really cool.
Yeah.
He's got so much attitude, and it's like, yeah, this guy's gonna be the guy who, this is gonna be the guy who takes a baseball bat and just starts kicking zombie ass. Nope.
First one dead.
The first to die.
Yeah. I actually wasn't thinking that either, because especially since he was like this big tough guy who's like the leader of this group that everybody kept like trying to follow what he was doing. It was like, oh fuck, well now what?
Well, yeah, I guess he's dead.
But I did think it was funny as like this zombie is literally eating his skull and getting it with his brains. Spider like threw something at the zombie because Tina was like, fuck this, and took off. She was like,
they all like
pushed them basically out of the way and ran up the stairs, hopped over the broken one and was like, deuces, see you later. And the rest of the friends were just like, the fuck? And they're just like watching. And then Spider's like, blah, and just like threw something at the zombie. And the zombie's like, ooh, more brains.
Oh my God.
Just starts to chase them up the stairs.
He gets real excited.
Yeah.
The way he did it too, it's like, do either of you have cats?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so like when your cat gets into something that it shouldn't, you know, you like take something like a wadded up paper towel or something, you throw it at him just to startle him. Then you're like, get away from there. It was that kind of a throw. It was like, hey, no, brains aren't
mean it, right? Well, I'm just thinking, like, sorry, Courtney, if you were being eaten by a zombie, I think I would have run away. I don't think I would have been like, what can I do at that point?
I know.
Your skull is open. He's eating your brain. Like, what can I do at that point?
You can't.
I'm just going to run, not be like, roll a toilet paper, and just like, oh, now I've got attention. Like, now it's looking at me.
Oh my God.
No, let it feast on your brains while I can run away.
If I'm already dead, you are more than welcome to run away.
I'm flying up out of there.
Okay.
I'm gone.
It's for the best.
Also, this is the first time zombies ate brains in a horror movie.
Interesting.
Before that, they just kind of like ate whatever.
Flesh, yeah.
Yeah, flesh. But everybody, you know, after this movie, because every zombie's shouting, brains, brains. And after that, it was just like, that was what zombies did. They ate brains.
Sure. They need it, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like flesh would just be so much easier to get.
Well, it helps take away the pain we learn in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So
we'll get there. It's fine.
There's that. So anyways, the ambulance arrives at the funeral home and checks on Freddie and Frank, who are completely
can I say
shivering.
Something really quick?
Absolutely.
Sorry to cut you off. I think Spider might be one of my favorite characters in this movie, because I feel like he has the funniest lines just randomly throughout this movie. So when the friends run up the stairs together from this like zombie eating Suicide's head, they go to block the door for the basement and they find all this wood. I don't know where the fuck they found these pieces of wood and hammers and nails, but they start like blocking it. But the friends run and Spider's like pushing this door closed and he shouts at them like, where are you fuckers going? Help me block the door, you stupid fuckers. And he's yelling at them. And it made me openly laugh. And I love when people yell at each other. It's just really funny. And he's cursing. It's great.
It feels like you're at a family reunion, huh?
100%.
Yeah.
And he's just like taking all this wood. And I'm like, where did they conveniently locate all this lumber and
good
hammer
question.
and nails? But I was like, okay, Spider, I see you. I'm watching you. I'm going to keep an eye on you because you've already made me laugh once. And he delivers the rest of the movie. He's got funny lines the rest of the time.
Yeah.
He entertains me for sure.
I'm sure you have more quotes in there.
Oh, from Spider? I definitely do.
Okay, so
Now we're at the morgue. Sorry.
Recapping. Ambulance arrives at the funeral home. They go to check on Freddie and Frank, who are shivering, white, and looking like they're about to die.
Yeah.
And then the paramedics try to find a heartbeat and I guess a pulse on them.
Yeah.
And they're both like they can't find it.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
They
And
can't- they don't
their
have blood
temperature is 70.
They're dead.
They did.
Blood
They
pressure
don't-
is 0/0.
Yes.
They don't look good.
So
I
the
also
friends
love
of-
that the paramedics aren't like freaking out. They're just like, okay, so we're seeing some funny things with your vitals.
Not normal.
I
Never
wonder if this
experienced
is
this before.
This is their first job, like out of college. And
Well, and then it's funny too because one of them is checking Freddie and one's checking Frank, and then they swap, and they're like, "Okay, now I'll check him, you check him," and they get the same vitals and results as
Yeah.
if like both of their equipment was off on the different people. It's like, oh no, well I'll just check it over here. It's like, well, if you got him as dead, he's dead over here as well.
Well,
Like,
but
okay,
maybe-
Well, right, but if one of them can find a heartbeat and the other one can't, then they know it's something wrong with the stethoscope, you know.
right.
yeah, but one of them didn't even have the stethoscope in his ears. One of them was like, I can't get a heartbeat. And he goes over and puts the stethoscope on his arm, but like nothing in his ears. And I'm like, well, no wonder you can't hear a damn heartbeat. Put that shit in your ears, buddy.
Oh my god. Okay, so the friends all run back to the cemetery
Uh-huh.
and they see a skeleton popping out of the ground. And they as well as some other fresh corpses.
Yeah.
And then they start attacking them.
Because it's like flooding too. Like the graveyard's getting flooded.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then we see like bodies climbing out. And then Trash basically gets attacked in her ultimate fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Because she trips and like lands in this big puddle of God, who knows what. And all of these dead men, zombies, start attacking her and like biting her. And I'm like, well,
I mean,
foreshadowing really happened
you
there.
asked for it.
That's your fantasy, girl. She
It's
died
how
by
she would have
all these
wanted
men
to
eating.
go.
Right. She requested it, really.
I mean, I don't think that'd be the way that I'd want to go.
No.
But, I mean, hey, to
No.
each their own.
She's a cool looking zombie, though, when she comes back.
She is.
Okay.
She's a badass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So all the friends end up running to the funeral home. Ernie greets them at the door with a handgun and asks if they are on PCP before he lets them in the door.
Well, not all of them. Casey
No,
and
yeah, it
Chuck
gets split
double
up.
back and go back to the medical supply warehouse.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Trash is a zombie now.
Yes.
So
And
it's
Trash is a zombie.
100%. And so it's Spider, Tina, and what's that other guy's name?
Scuzz.
Scuzz. How could I forget about
Really
Scuzz?
got a mohawk for this movie. Like, he
Oh.
went for it. They didn't even ask him to.
Committed.
They were just like, you know, he just showed up one day and he's like, hey, I'm playing a punk, right? They're like, okay, you committed. Cool.
Love it.
We're like, well, we didn't write your character with a mohawk, but I guess we will now. Like, and I saw that Freddie pierced his ear for the role, not realizing that he could have just had like a fake earring on. Like,
I mean,
fully
hey,
committed
he
to
wanted to
piercing his
commit it.
ear.
Yeah. He
Good
wanted
for
to
him.
commit to it.
Good for him.
And the guy who played Suicide committed like that too. That's a real
Oh.
haircut, real everything. So
I
Look at
mean,
the
if
dedication.
This is like your first acting job too, or even if it's your second or third, yeah, you want to
Get
like
into
make
it.
sure that everybody gets that you are like in the role
Uh-huh.
and you're gonna do your best.
Even if you're the first one to die, just get that piercing, get that haircut.
He only lasted 40 minutes in the movie. No, it's fine. Okay, so the paramedics leave the funeral home, going back to their
The
ambulance.
Mhm.
They end up getting attacked by zombies.
Of course.
So, and then back at the warehouse, two of the friends that were separated from their group, they go to find a phone to call for help.
Mm-hmm.
And then she picks up the phone and asks the operator, Did they have switchboards in 1985?
It
to
was
call an operator?
It was a regular phone, like buttons and everything. It wasn't even like a rotary one. It had buttons on it.
Why are you asking for an operator?
Just dial 911.
I
don't know.
Well, because I think it was before 911. Because
Really?
I remember 911 becoming a thing. Like before that.
But wait a minute. Okay, that's a valid point. But why is she asking for an operator? Somebody doesn't just like when you pick up a phone, somebody doesn't come on the phone.
You said they press 0? Is that something that happened? I don't know.
She might not know the number for the cops. So she's calling the operator to get information.
Interesting.
Because that was why they implemented 911 is nobody knew the number for the cops. So they would always hit 0 and get the operator. And then they'd be like, operator, I need you to connect me to the police. And, you know, it was a production and people didn't want to have to do it every time.
Sure. Cut out the middleman. I get it.
Go straight to the source. Okay, fine. I'll give that to you. But I was like, this doesn't feel right. This does not feel right.
Well, it doesn't last long anyway.
No, it doesn't.
Because like a zombie like dives through the window.
Right, that's true.
Not to mention when the cops do show up, it's not like they do any good.
Oh no, it's completely useless.
All of them. Every single one of them are completely useless. So the other group decides to leave the funeral home and get in the paramedic ambulance to like get the heck out of there. So Ernie goes out to bring it closer to the house. When he walks up to it, he sees that the doors are all open, like the back door, the side doors. And then when he closes like the driver's side door, he sees one of the paramedics dead and a zombie eating his brains out of his skull.
Sure does.
He's like lapping it up. So he runs back to the house being chased by like a legless corpse.
It was little.
He was,
Yeah.
I didn't know how I felt about that. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on.
It's hard to get parts if you don't have legs. I suspect he was glad for the work.
Equal opportunity.
All right. So he gets back to the funeral home, shuts the windows and doors, tries to call the police, but of course the phone is dead.
Tells them all the medics are dead.
Correct.
So dramatic.
They all get weapons to beat the zombies to death, and they board up all the windows. They find all the lumber.
The zombies are trying to like break into the front door and the windows, and then they're taking these weapons and like hitting the arms of the zombies. I'm thinking like you're probably doing more damage to the windows that are keeping them out than like the zombies themselves.
Haven't you realized that you can't kill them yet? Can't kill them.
Right, and there's just more like conveniently accessible lumber for them to just barricade stuff up with. Good thing I bought all of these nails the other day.
There is always convenient lumber in zombie movies. I
don't
know what it is.
Everyone can create a barricade no matter what.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Honestly, I was watching this movie in my living room and I was like sitting there and I was thinking like, if I had to barricade up a door from a zombie right now, like what would I use? And I'm looking around like, I've got a couple of cabinet doors that are like 3 feet tall. Okay, cool. What other wood would I have to barricade anything up with?
Well, these are like raw pieces of like wood.
That's lumber.
Yeah, it's not like furniture that you've taken apart.
I'm like, I would not be able to barricade shit up in my house with a zombie apocalypse.
And you have no idea where nails are either. So
not that many. That's for sure.
Okay. So as this is going on and they're boarding up the windows, outside a call comes through on the radio on the ambulance.
Oh my God.
Go do it. Thank you. I appreciate that. So the zombie decides to grab the microphone thing and says that he needs more people.
Need more people. Like, that drove me a little bit crazy. That the zombie was like, oh, let me get more brains. I can't.
I know. They have brains.
They don't need brains. They got brains.
They created a pulley system. It's a lot.
And trickery. Yeah. They're creating a whole form of trickery. Like, let's be real.
This line is so famous, there is actually a punk band called Send More Paramedics.
Interesting.
Was this before or after the movie?
After the movie. They named themselves after this line in the movie.
After I didn't know if they were, like, they took the name of the movie. I'm sorry.
The band from the movie. I see what you're saying.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. Okay, so the group tells the story of what happened, and Freddie says that his body is like, they're all like in the funeral home still.
Yeah.
And Freddie says that his body is starting to stiffen up. So Ernie comes over to look at him for his professional opinion and sees that the blood is pooling on his back, under his skin.
Don't look good.
And says that rigor mortis is starting to set in.
Yeah.
And then they start freaking out that he's dead and that he's going to turn into a zombie. No shit.
And Tina, I can't.
She loves him.
She is 1,000% committed to Freddie, which great. Good for them in their relationship. But she's getting annoying.
It's a toxic relationship. I mean, she needs to re-examine some of her life choices.
100%. And you know what? I give her all the credit in the world for being upset that her boyfriend is technically dead, even though he doesn't look dead.
Right.
But he does. You know what I mean? Like, she should definitely be upset about that. But she will not let go of him.
No.
She is screaming beside herself. And then we get to it later that she doesn't even leave his side. And then later on, she's still shouting. I'm like, can somebody shut Tina up? Because I can't. Like, Tina.
Pull her away.
Take a breath. Collect yourself. Let's figure some shit out. No.
Clearly, her favorite song is Stand By Your Man.
Oh, but that was good. It's good. So outside, the crew hears another ambulance pull up.
Uh-huh.
The paramedics get out and are immediately attacked.
Yeah.
So the zombie starts to push through like boarded windows of the funeral home.
Yeah.
And one of them gets attacked and bitten in the head by this half corpse.
That was Scuzz.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was Scuzz.
But it's like a weird skeleton lady. Like, she's not a full-on zombie.
No, it's like
she's got no flesh. She's like an actual skeleton, but still has hair. It's fine. And then they're trying to attack this zombie skeleton, and they end up like cutting it in half, and they board up the window again.
Right.
But Ernie doesn't want them to kill the zombie skeleton. He wants to examine it.
Right.
So they basically are like, fuck you, Scuzz, you're dead anyway. We leave him in this room, but let's take the zombie.
Let's tie her up.
Yeah. We'll lay her on this metal table, tie her up, and see what she has to say. And I will say, John, I'm sorry it's not popular opinion. The fact that this freaking skeleton lady was having a full-on conversation with Ernie, I literally stopped typing and I said, fucking really? Really? I can't. I think this was my breaking point in the movie. I was fine up until a weird conversation with a dead half skeleton.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And you know what? I don't feel like I was prepared for it either.
Stephanie, would you like to tell us why we find out that the zombies eat brains?
Well, Ernie says to her, like, you can hear me. And she's like, yes. And I'm like, stop. And he's like, why do you eat people? And she's like, not people, brains.
They all say it the same way, too.
Yeah, brains. Brains only? Why? The pain of being dead. It hurts to be dead. So basically, they eat brains because rotting doesn't feel good. And I'm like, but aren't you dead?
I guess brains have drugs in them that make it feel better.
It's just serotonin, I guess. I don't know.
I mean...
But hold on a second, though. And if you have an answer for this, I have to see how I feel about it. But before these gases were released and this acid rain made them come to life in their graves, weren't they just fucking dead? Like, they had no feeling. They weren't back to life. So how could rotting be painful when technically they don't only had pain once this acid rain came?
Maybe they have nerves.
It's like, you figure they wake up and the first thing they feel is, oh God, everything hurts.
It's just like, oh shit. So it's like, you're thinking as soon as they wake up, they're like, well, now I need brains to get this pain out of here?
That's what I think it is, yeah.
Well, how long does it last?
The whole time they're alive, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if it ever wears off. Like, that just...
Not enough brains in the world can stop that pain, I guess.
John, I'm having a hard time with this. I'm having a hard time.
I like that you have answers rapidly. I really do like and appreciate that. And this one I'm on the fence about, but I can kind of get on board.
I will say that is like one of the creepiest things about the movie to me, is thinking about what it must be like to be one of these zombies, and you're just like in constant pain all the time, and the only thing that makes it better is cracking someone's skull open and eating their brains raw, and it's like, that would be miserable.
Oh my God.
But what a simple life they live, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I had a little bit of a hard time with this part of the movie.
Okay.
The fact that her spinal cord was wagging like a tail.
It was just wiggling on the table.
And it was like leaking little bits of spinal fluid, little drops.
Yes.
How? I do like the detail. I'd like the detail about it, but why is it wagging? Why?
I guess she's trying to move her legs and she doesn't have them anymore.
Oh Oh my God, an answer for everything. I love it.
I also have my notes that Ernie asked, eating brain, how does it make you feel? And she said, it makes the pain go away. And I literally wrote, shut the fuck up in my notes. I said, no.
No, it's true.
It says it.
Yeah, that's TFU. Yep. That's what that means. Oh my God. Okay, we have to move on. So now we see a homeless man outside of the cemetery.
Yeah.
And then what's her name?
Trash.
I said the naked friend.
Classic trash.
She is walking out of the cemetery towards this guy, and she's a zombie now, obviously, because she got attacked.
But she is strutting, girl.
And
she is working it.
And she attacks them. Now,
yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
So she got attacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't see any like bite marks or anything on her. Her brain is still intact.
Oh, valid.
How? All
right, John, we're ready.
You're up.
The only thing I can think of is that they just kind of pulled up the under the hair and then they just let it flop back down.
No.
When I was a kid, I thought I remembered. This is serious. I thought I remembered a scene where you saw her from the back and you just saw like the inside of her head was caved in. And I don't know why I thought that, but it's not in the movie. So it's just
that would actually make sense. If the back of her head was missing, I could be on board.
You know what? I'll take it because, well, you're really good with everything else. I mean, why? I mean, I'm going to go with it.
Anyways. I do know why she became a zombie and nobody else did, though.
Oh, okay.
Do tell.
Because her body was left outside in the rain. Everybody else died inside, and it's not being attacked that makes you a zombie. It's the rain that does it.
And the gases and stuff.
Interesting.
That's a fun. Okay, I like that.
Okay, I'll go with it.
I like it. Okay.
So back with Frank, Freddie, and the group, they decide that they need to be quarantined just in case something happens.
Sure.
And they start attacking people.
So now, I would have tied him up.
100%.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They're not super strong. They're just regular strong. Just tie them up and then you don't need to worry about it.
Right. They're literally just hungry zombies. They're not like super strong ones.
They want brains.
And we know they have rope from tying down that weird half skeleton lady. Yeah. So just contain them somewhere. No.
Admittedly, I have overthought this movie, as you may have noticed. So
yeah, I can.
But I like that idea, though. It makes sense. If you're gonna put them in quarantine to keep yourself safe, then fully commit to the idea.
Right. I agree with that. Well, so as they're leaving, Tina's like, I'm not leaving my boyfriends, because she won't let him go.
Yeah, because they put the two of them in the chapel part of the funeral home. And again, like, clinging, will not let go of Freddie, like physically holding on to Freddie.
Oh my God.
Beside herself. And the guy, it was kind of funny though, because she's like, I'm not leaving him. And Bert and Ernie were like, and Spider were like, all right, bye. They just left.
They were shit.
They fucking left and locked the door with her ass in there.
These are your life choices. You deal with them.
Peace out, bitch. Good luck.
So the police officers arrive now, and they start slowly walking up to the two vacant ambulances. And when they yell, the zombie, like yelling for people to like answer them, the zombies attack them. Yeah. All like 80 of them that are out there now.
Swarmed again.
And we see another zombie using the walkie-talkie calling from, sorry, what was that?
Send more cops.
Yeah, they want more cops. So I guess we're going to be getting more cops soon.
Oh boy, do we?
Yes, we do.
And that other zombie has to be going, hey, you totally ripped off my idea. I had the idea of using the radio, pal.
So Freddie and Frank die, and they turn into zombies. They try to attack Tina, so the others run in to save her. They're so nice. So the remaining group back at the embalming room. Is it the embalming room? Yeah.
Well, they get her out of there, and they like barricade the door, because when they go in to get Tina out, we see that Frank escapes.
Right.
Like, he kind of crawls out of there, but Freddie is like beside himself, and doesn't Ernie throw this like acid on him and his eyes get all like acidy and crazy?
Yes.
And it's like he only had like a little bit of acid, just like splash. So then now he's like a blind zombie. He's all pissed off and wants brains. So they get out of the room, barricade the door with like a church pew, and they run back into
busting through the door behind it, though. Yes. So I'm like, I don't know what that pew
another paper-thin door. And they run back into the embalming room, and Ernie's like, well, we can hide in the attic crawl space. And Spider's like, fuck that. Fuck you guys and your terrible ideas. I'd rather risk it running out to the car. Like, you guys are insane to hide in the attic. And I'm like, Spider, you read my mind.
And it's about here that Ernie just, like, trips over nothing and breaks his leg.
I have that in my notes too, because apparently he's like sitting down and he's like, oh, I broke my foot. And I'm like, how?
I don't know.
What did I miss? Like, I missed something.
It's when they're blocking the door with the pew. He like stumbles backwards and somehow breaks his whole ass leg doing it.
I mean, clumsy.
Well, maybe he hasn't drank enough calcium, like some milk.
Maybe he needs some brains.
His bones are brittle. He just,
his bones are brittle. He does
Maybe he's supposed to be older than he looks. I don't know. But, I mean, it is like a flop like you see in the NBA. He is drawing the foul.
And then he's basically useless because he can't move. He can't run. He's like, my foot's broke. Sorry.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Ernie. I think he did it on purpose so he didn't have to do anything. So they decide that they're going to make a run for it for the cop car. So,
yeah, for Bert and Spider to run out.
Yeah, Bert and Spider. So they're still, well, I think my notes are jacked up.
Well, so they're like trying to look out the window. It's Bert and Spider trying to like plan their timing to like run out to the cop car, because they're going to run to the cop car because it's still running.
Right.
They're going to drive it up to the door of the morgue or whatever it is. And Ernie and Tina are going to hop in and they're going to make a run for it.
Right.
But now, for whatever freaking reason, Bert and Spider are like arguing about like who's gonna drive the cop car. And Spider's like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna drive." And I'm like, "Does it just go to the car and just somebody drive it back?"
I mean, it clearly does matter because Bert is a terrible driver. You gotta say it.
You have one job, Bert, and you failed.
Like, and you argued. You argued your way into this job. And then you fuck it up.
Well, when they make a run for it, they get in the cop car. Of course, they get swarmed by zombies. And what do? They bail out.
Yeah.
They're like, well, this plan didn't work. Bye. And they put the car in reverse and they leave.
Assholes. I can't.
And then Tina's like, they just left us. And then Ernie's like, well, yeah, like he's cool with it. He's like, well, that's what their choice. They had to do it. They had no choice. I'm like, it seems like they had a choice.
Did they?
It seems like
he has this weird delivery too when he says it. He doesn't just say they had to. He's like, they had to. Dude,
everything is dramatic.
3 notches.
So the two of them, Ernie and Tina, get a ladder out, and now they climb into that attic crawl space above the embalming room.
Oh my God.
I can't. And this is the part where I was like, Ernie, just throw Tina out of the attic.
Save yourself.
Let Freddie eat her brains because she is driving me fucking crazy. They're in the attic. They like close the door, and Freddie gets into the embalming room because he breaks out. But what I liked about Freddie is they show that his eyes are all like bubbled up, right? Because of the acid.
Yeah.
But he's like running around the house with his hands out and he's knocking shit over. He's like, Tina! Tina! And he's knocking everything over. And it was actually really funny.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Well, I mean, he's a blind zombie. What do you expect?
Now, see, you say that Ernie should have just thrown her to the zombie, but if you look right towards the end, he's about to shoot her in the head.
He totally did.
Oh my God, I missed it.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So when blind zombie Freddie finally gets into the embalming room, he's like, Tina, I know you're here. I can smell your brains. Tina with no fucking chill. She's screaming and crying. And she's like, Freddie, in the damn attic. Yeah. And I'm like, girl.
You're making too much noise.
I mean, he can't see you. He can see you. How's he going to get in the damn attic? He's blind.
Well, they have it kind of like shimmy. They got like a piece of lumber or something that's like
wedging it close.
Yeah.
But John's absolutely right. At one point, like, Ernie's sitting there and he's holding Tina in front of him and he pulls out his gun and he just starts to like point it slowly at her head as he's holding it. And I was like,
he was going to try to shoot Freddie. He wasn't going to shoot her.
I don't know. Okay. He definitely was as irritated as I was by Tina's excessive shouting of Freddie.
He was maybe thinking, if it comes to it, I'd rather die quick.
I mean, that's
valid. Opposed to your brains being eaten? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where we're at.
They go back at the warehouse, right?
So Bert and Spider are driving away from
Mm-hmm.
the
yeah.
mortuary, and
Yeah.
they keep running into crowds of zombies everywhere they go.
Sure. They don't make it very far.
No.
They crash
Into
into
the
the medical
warehouse.
warehouse across the street.
I can't. I don't. Okay. I don't
And
know.
they crash so bad that they blow up all of the other working cars.
How? How?
That's not a thing.
I
That's
just
not a thing. I can't.
Mhm.
Whatever. So meanwhile, Frank is now in the crematorium by himself. He
Yeah.
takes off his wedding ring. He puts it down. He climbs into the stove to burn himself to death.
How did he not become like an aggressive zombie who was hungry?
Maybe
Did
he
he
wasn't
not like fully turn yet?
Yeah, maybe he wasn't as dead as Freddy was.
That's weird.
Maybe because he didn't have the rigor mortis. I don't
He
know.
was still in pain. I don't know. John, what do you got?
Well, he was throwing up a lot. Maybe he, puked up enough of the poison that it slowed it
Bought
down
him
a
some
little.
time. Maybe.
Yeah.
I love his facts
logic,
that he's
I like
creating.
it.
I know.
I thought way too much about this movie. I
very
really
true.
admit it.
I love everything about it. So
yeah, but you're right. He climbs in and just
he
burns
himself.
Wow.
So now we have 6 cop cars that are pulling up to the funeral home now.
Uh-huh.
They all get out at exactly the same time, and they get attacked.
Oh yeah,
All of them.
swarmed. They're all dead.
Okay.
They're all brains eaten.
It's like they had like this choreographed move where all of the doors of these cop cars opened, and then they all got attacked all at the same time. It was like one swift move.
Cleaned house.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and there was a helicopter, a police helicopter in the sky that was watching this whole thing happen below.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the voice of the helicopter pilot was the director.
Mm-hmm.
That's Dan O'Bannon doing the helicopter.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
I like it. Look at him being sneaky in there. So the group at the medical supply warehouse need to get into the basement now.
Yes.
So they invite the original zombie upstairs to knock his head off his body.
Uh-huh.
They run downstairs to call the police.
Close the door behind him.
Yep. And then when Bert tries to explain what is happening, he hears the cops now being attacked outside.
Yeah, because the call to the police direct them to whoever's like created that barricade of all those cops outside.
Right.
And then we see this swarm of zombies attack all of those cops. So Bert's like, oh no, now what? I guess I'll call the 800 number finally on the side of the damn barrels.
And the zombies are led by Trash. She has found her place, her purpose. She is
power strutting girl.
Yeah, she's doing her thing. That is for damn sure. Yeah.
She is unhinging her jaw to eat brains. She has got it going on.
She's found her calling. Good for her.
Yeah, I mean, she dreamed of this day for her entire life.
She did. And you know what? People can only hope for that.
Well, because what did you say? If you're doing what you love, you're never working a day in your life.
Yep.
Story of Trash.
Story of Trash.
Or Afterlife.
There you go. Okay, so like you said, Bert calls the number that's on the side of the canisters. He gets transferred to the grumpy military guy who asks him way too many questions. He asks so many questions.
I wrote that too. I was like, and he's taking all these. Well, he calls in because he's in San Diego.
Oh yeah.
So it's like he calls in the middle of the night. He wakes up. His wife is very disgruntled, like he's on the phone and as he's sitting in bed, and he has his notepad on his nightstand, and he's jotting down all these notes.
Yeah.
And he's very happy what he's telling him, and then he tells him that he's going to connect him back to a different military guy.
Okay.
So he can go to his office and beep boop, open that glass cabinet door and deal with his fax machine, other phone in there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and he tells them as he's on this beep boop beep boop thing.
Yeah.
That the Easter or did he say Easter eggs?
Easter eggs have hatched.
Okay. So now he gives orders to somebody in a military tank.
Oh my God. The code words that this guy was using was infuriating for me.
Oh my God, I loved it.
He was talking so quickly, and then he's like, rhubarb, 09er, and I'm like, stop.
These are not military
They
names.
are not terms at all, but I made note of it because I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Of course you did. So, okay, so this tanker shoots off a missile.
Yes.
Bert looks concerned because we hear a whistle sounds.
Or cartoon noise.
Yeah, it is.
It sounded like the Roadrunner
basically
animation of that missile, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we see a shot of the entire city, and we see this large boom and a fiery mushroom cloud come up. And I'm like, everybody dead.
Uh-huh.
They did.
Only 4,000 dead.
Oh, well,
That's what they said. I'm like, the whole plan was just to basically blow up Louisville, Kentucky. That was the whole plan?
Yeah,
Got
that's
it. Okay.
And that's why the movie was set on the 4th of July.
Oh
Oh.
my
Because
gosh.
they could end it
Wow.
with a big fireworks display.
Stop.
I can't.
But of course, the movie doesn't just like end like that,
No.
because we don't see it, but we hear the military guys talking, and he's like, yeah, I know there's fires. I'm not concerned because the rain will take care of the fire. Sorry. The rain will take care of the fires. But as we know, the acid rain, the body's blowing up, creates this gas, and it's just going to create more zombies.
Just a vicious cycle is what it is.
And see, this is the part when I was 10 when I saw it. I had already fully hidden inside my sleeping bag. So I heard the general talking, but I didn't see what was going on. And in my head, as he was talking, there were zombies like scratching at his window and he didn't notice. And that was how the movie ended to me.
Instead, none of that happened at all. We just heard him talking.
Yeah, no, it's just we hear him talking and we see some footage from earlier in the movie play again.
Yeah.
Well,
that was it.
That's the end of the movie.
I have a couple of fun facts. Some of them we talked about already, but I have a couple of them that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
John probably knows all of these.
I'm sure he does, or he'll correct you, one or the other.
That's fine. You can correct me. I'll make sure IMDb knows about it then.
Oh.
So some of the zombie extras were paid bonuses to eat real calf brains in the film. Did you know this, John?
I did not know this.
So Dan O'Bannon, the director, didn't want the actors to do anything that he wasn't willing to do, and he ate some raw calf brains for the first time, like in front of them, to show them that he wouldn't ask and do anything that he wouldn't do himself.
That's gross.
That's really gross.
Made out of like gelatin or something.
I mean,
yeah, you can make ones out of Jello.
Right?
Like who's to say that he didn't have like a fake one and he gave them the real ones?
Right. He's got Jello with like corn syrup on it, and he's like, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Okay, the other one I have is they had to get approval from Lysol to have Frank spray it, like after they wake up from the gases, to spray the stench of death away. And apparently Lysol liked it enough because it would kill any conceivable odor. So they were more than cool with it.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. I like that.
Even death.
I didn't know that one either. I was wondering about that. I'm like, man, did Lysol get like product placement out of that?
Well, I wonder too, because when he picks up the can, it visibly says Lysol like huge on it. And I was like, interesting. Okay. Because when we watched Leprechaun, we learned that like it really pissed off Lucky Charms. So they had to like change the name of the cereal. So I was like, clearly Lysol wasn't pissed about it, but okay.
All right.
And then the one I had was the same one that you had about how Dan O'Bannon claims that he was surprised with how many women watched the movie. And then he would have shown more of Freddie naked as well if he knew that a lot of women were going to turn out.
I wonder how that would have been placed in the movie.
I mean, they would have found like an unnecessary way to do it.
That's true.
For sure.
The paramedics need to examine him or something, you know.
Or as a zombie, he would have like enraged, ripped something off or something, you know.
Like
it would have just been unnecessary.
Yeah, very unnecessary. Kind of like trash is just unnecessary.
But we learned that she's got this Jazzercise video, so that's a fun fact.
Good for her.
John, you gave us so much logic and reason in things that we usually hate on. Whole new perspective for us. And I think it's fantastic.
I loved everything about it. Everything.
Yeah, I got headcanons about this. Can I say?
And you know what? Even if you didn't really have the answer, you made it up on the fly, and I love that about that too.
And your delivery was convincing, and we're sold. We're good.
Well, we're easily convinced.
Yeah, because what the fuck do we know?
We don't know nothing. We know nothing.
Well, John, thank you for coming on to our show. This was a lot of fun, and we appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been an absolute blast.
And we genuinely love and appreciate all the support that you give our show as well. So you're the best. You're just
y'all are great. I love tweeting every week about how great the new episodes are.
You're too kind.
I know.
We're just a shit show, and you're too kind.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're just literally a shit show. Literally.
Well, remind everybody where they can find you before we go.
My podcast is on Anchor. Just look for Half Price Horror. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all the places. On Twitter, I am at Half Horror. So just look for that and you should be able to find me. And if you want to check out my Letterboxd, it's letterboxd.com/halfpricehorror, and you can see all the movies that I have piled up in the corner of my room that I will watch if people ask me to.
And obviously, since you're on Apple and Spotify, people should review and rate, give you 5 stars. Of course, on there they should.
Of course.
I mean,
why wouldn't they?
They have to give you 5 stars.
I gave you 5 stars, I think. So
we love you. Well, John, thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it, and we'll be seeing you around because we're buds.
Of
you
course.
know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.